Chapter 15. I'm still in a complete funk the next day and in no mood for icy Miss Rooker. Jessica, she says after the tardy bell rings, when are you planning to return to your regular seat? It's true that I'm moving around on my crutches much better than I used to. It's true that the reason she sat me back with Rosa was because I was in a wheelchair. It's true that other people with crutches just sit in their regular seats. And I'm getting my leg today. But days ago, I decided I'm staying at Rosa's table even when I'm walking again. I'm staying. I'm not, I tell her, and I'm surprised by the sound of my own voice. It's confident, with a twinge of defiance. Miss Rooker holds my gaze. I think it might be better for Rosa if you took your assigned seat. No, Rosa says, and everyone turns to look at her. I like her here, Rosa says in her underwatery tones. Please. Miss Rooker frowns, then looks from me to Rosa and back again. Then the note writing has got to stop. I look at Rosa. Rosa looks at me. Our faces both say oops. Fine, I say to Miss Rooker, but she's just been helping me keeping up. Rosa's math genius, you know. Miss Rooker studies me. Yes, I'm aware of that, she says, and decides not to argue with me about the content of our notes, even though she knows I'm fibbing. Math lab would be a more constructive option, she says with one eyebrow arched high. Then she begins writing on the board. Rosa immediately slips me a note. Thanks. I smiled at her, and for the first time since the track meet, I smiled inside too. Chapter 16. Mom notices how quiet I am as she drives me to Hank's. Are you okay? I nod but say, I don't understand how this fake leg is going to work. What if I can't make it work? You will figure it out, sweetheart. Remember, Chloe, okay? We couldn't even tell. That doesn't help, and Chloe is her usual bubbly self when she sees us, which helps too. Today's the day, she says as we check in. Did you bring shorts and your right shoe? I nod and hold them up. Can I change? We came straight from school. She leads me to a small bathroom, and on the way she says, it'll feel weird at first, but don't be discouraged. I know you will get the hang of it fast. And once you do, you will be walking everywhere, she says it quietly, conspiratorially, like she's sharing a secret, like we are friends. She takes my right running shoe from me. We will definitely use a cane or a crutch at first, but you will get rid of that in no time too. Thanks, I tell her, and I'm grateful to hear this from someone who knows, someone I believe, after I've changed into shorts. Chloe waves me down to a room with mirrored walls and long parallel bars. The bars are at about hip height and maybe 3 feet apart. It looks remotely like a dance studio, only instead of tutus, there are miscellaneous fake body parts here and there, and the only dancers are Hank and my mother. Their conversation stops immediately when I walk in. Hank picks up a fake leg from against the wall and smiles at me. Time to get you walking again. It looks like a mannequin's foot with a metal pipe sticking out of it. The pipe is about 8 inches long and 1.5 inches in diameter with 2 metal connectors, one down by the foot and one up where the pipe attaches to the socket. The connectors have little holes and divots in them and look like strange plumbing couplings like something my dad might use under a sink. On top of the pole is a finished socket. It's skin colored and is cut away at the knee, so it looks like a kind of stir-up for my leg. He grins at me as I soak it all in. Yes, it's a little Frankensteinish, but my focus snaps to my mom. You told him? She looks chagrined, but he says, I laughed my head off. Jessica, I might even change the name of my business to Frankenstein's, but unfortunately, most of my clients aren't in the frame of mind for such humor. He eyes me. It's a really good sign that you are. I'm still embarrassed, but I nod and say, so what do I do? He has me take off my left shoe and sit in a chair that's right by the parallel bars. Then he hands me a tube-shaped nylon to put over my stump and has me up a stump sock on over the nylon. It's like a regular sock, only with no heel shape or seams. It's also softer and stretchier than a regular sock. Now for the liner, he says, and pulls a white foamy looking thing out of the socket of my fake leg. He hands you over the liner and says, just slip this on and tell me how it feels. Is it supposed to be snug? I ask. It feels a little loose. He takes it off and has me put on a thicker fly sock, then put the liner on again. This time it seems to fit better, so he holds the fake leg so that the open end of the socket is facing my stump and says, just to put your leg inside. I do, and it's a snug, comfortable fit, but it's very strange to look down and see a pipe leg and a fake foot attached to me. How does it stay on? I ask, because it sure doesn't seem like I could actually work with it. We will get to that in a minute. First, I want to check the fit. He pushes and twists the socket, and when he's sure it's okay, he pulls the leg off and says, we are going to use the suspension sleeve to hold the leg in place. He picks up a tan rubbery looking sleeve and starts pulling it onto the outside of the socket. This is a neoprene material like what wet suits are made of. The sleeve will create a vacuum between you and your prosthetic leg that will hold it firmly in place. He doubles the sleeve back over the socket, then holds the leg out for me. If I can get you to slip your leg in, so I do, and then he has me pull the doubled back part of the sleeve up over my leg. It's like a big rubbery sock that ends about mid-tight and seems to suck the fake leg on tight. Ready to stand? He asks. I guess so. I answer, but then I just sit there frozen in place. Use the bars if you want to. Just stand like you remember doing. It's strange. It's like my brain doesn't quite remember what it used to do. I've been hopping and crouching for so long, getting up and down differently. I'm almost afraid to try. So I grip the bars and I use my left leg to power myself up. Put weight on it, he encourages me. It shouldn't hurt. But I'm not so much afraid of the pain as I'm of not being able to work this pipe leg. I get a rush of panic. How is this ever going to work? How am I ever going to be able to work on this thing? Slowly, I put weight on my right leg. It takes a minute for my leg to settle in. And when it does, I feel lopsided, like my fake leg is way too long. Is your weight distributed evenly? Hanks asks. When I nod, he says, I'm going to check the height now, and puts his thumbs on the crest points of my hip bones. The leg feels way too long. I tell him. He nods knowingly. That's normal. You'll have no resistance or pressure on the leg for quite some time now. So even when it's perfect, patients still say it feels long. He smiles at me, but in this case, it is wrong. He takes a thin wooden block and slips it under my good foot, then checks my hip bones again. By raising the left side, he says, I know how much I have to shorten the pylon. After a minute of assigning how level I am, he takes another thinner block and slips it under my left foot so that it's on top of the first block. Very good, he says after checking the level again. The first block was half an inch, the second one a quarter inch, which means we've got to take the pylon down 3/4 of an inch. He has me sit down and uses an Allen wrench to loosen the top coupling. Then he removes the pipe from the socket. The foot is still attached to the bottom end of the pipe, and having him do this feels strange, like I'm some sort of doll where the parts snap on and off. He leaves the room with the pipe and foot, and before long he's back. Let's try this, he says, and reattaches the pipe to the socket. I stand up again, and even though the leg still feels long, he checks the level and says, Perfect. Are you sure? I ask. I am. Don't worry. The feeling of it being too long will go away. Then he says, Now, what I want you to do is hold on to the bars and just rock back and forth on one foot, then the other. I do this. And what's so surreal is that I can feel my foot. It's not there. I know it's not there, but as I'm rocking back and forth, my brain seems to be sighing with relief. Oh, there it is. How is that? Hanks asked. Is it supposed to feel like my foot is there? I asked quietly. Does it? He asked in return. I nod, then looks at him. He's smiling. It's not the case for everyone, that's for sure, but I find that the patients who have that sensation adapt much more quickly than those who don't. But why does it feel that way? Your brain is still weird to your having a foot. He shrugs. The body's nerves send signals, and the brain adapts or reacts. There can be a phantom pain or simply feeling like a limb is still there. It's not entirely understood, but if your brain thinks your prosthetic foot is your real foot, that's a very good sign. I glance at my mother, and she's looking a little tanned, but also pleased. All right, Hank says. Now I want you to put your left foot forward, then put it back. Put your right foot forward, pull it back. Don't go anywhere, just do a little hokey-pokey for me. So I do, and each time I put my right leg out and back, and I feel a little more confident. Let's try a few steps, he says when I've hokey-pokeyed enough. Hold on to the rails and move forward. The biggest obstacle is fear, and you have no reason to be afraid. Just do what your body remembers. And I take my first step, and my second step, and my third. The fake leg feels snug, solid. I can't roll off the foot like I can with my regular leg, but I move forward step by step until suddenly I'm at the end of the bars. I look up and see my reflection in the mirror. My new leg is not a pretty sight, but it doesn't freak me out. I turn around, and there's my mother and Hank standing at the opposite end. My mother has a look on her face that's hard to define. Hope, anticipation, worry. I feel like I'm her baby again. Taking my first 2 wobbly steps, I take a deep breath, then loosen my grip on the bars. 2 steps forward, my hands are hovering above the bars. I take 2 more steps and 2 more, tears stirring my eyes. I'm walking.